You are listening to the Cup of Mets podcast, your one-stop shop for all things New York Mets baseball. Remember to give us a follow on Instagram, YouTube, and X. We are at Cup of Mets. Subscribe to the podcast, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And last but not least, download the SeatGeek app and use code Cup of Mets at first purchase to get $20 off. Now, your hosts, Ian Bosniak and Matthew DeSantis. Episode 11 of the Cup of Mets podcast, Season 5, joined alongside by Matty DeSantis. I'm Ian Bosniak. Matty, I see you rocking that Knicks championship hat. Champions for the first time since 1973 and the first time since they won that we're recording.
Yes, sir, bro. Yes, sir. They did it. They did it. And watching that parade was awesome. So happy for the city, for people in New York. Can only just happen to imagine, what it would be like possibly if the Mets did that. But it's gonna be a while.
Yeah. I mean, you know me, right? Baseball's first and foremost always, but I was so happy watching that parade and then obviously internalizing it, saying, wow, it would be amazing if, ticker tape would be falling on the Mets. And, I even tweeted it out and I think it went a little viral. It just shows how maybe far apart the two organizations are. Maybe have a Zach Short and Eric Wagaman leading the charge down the Canyon of Heroes. Like, that's just where we're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, amazing for the city. And yeah, man, let's talk some Mets ball.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Well, listen, there's been a lot that's gone on since the last time that we recorded, which I think was 10 days ago, the 9th of June. But nonetheless, the Mets were able to take the opener last night. This is a weird series. I didn't even really fully comprehend. The Mets have off today in between a 3-game set with the Phillies. So they played the Phillies last night, have an off day today, and then have a series tomorrow and Sunday. Really odd scheduling, but the Mets took the opener last night in Philadelphia. Juan Soto went deep twice. He now has the most weighted runs created plus in the National League, leading both James Wood and Shohei Ohtani at 169. I mean, the guy is unreal. Hit 2 home runs last night, 2 solo shots, but dude, that OPS is up to 980 on the season, hitting 300 on the year. He's been great. Bo Bichette last night took an 0 for 5, but he had 6 consecutive games of multi-hits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carson Benz really struggled in Cincinnati after being so hot, but he went 3 for 5 last night. AJ Ewing, 2 for 3. I mean, all around, Semien, 2 for 4. He got lucky and, fouled off a pitch that would have been strike 3 against Jose Alvarado, ended up ripping a 2-run RBI triple in the gap. So, just all around a really, really good opening game for the Mets in Philadelphia. But Sean Manaea started the ballgame, right? And that's something that has changed since the last time that we hopped on. The Mets implemented Sean back into the rotation, given all their ups and downs. Manaea went 5 1/3, allowed 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks. What are you seeing from Manaea right now that is giving you a little bit of confidence that he may be able to remain in the rotation?
Well, I was going to say that I think he's starting to get some confidence back, after so many shitty outings by him, and now it looks like he's starting to rebound, so that's a good thing. The bad thing is just the team. The team will look like that they're about to go in the right direction. They go off and lose a bunch of games. Like the Reds kicked the shit out of them last week. Like that was pretty putrid to watch. But no, Sean Manaea has been doing a real good job.
Yeah, dude, that he has. I think there's a few things that go into play there, right? He had been really finding, towards the back end of when he was piggybacking, he was finding that a little bit of increased velocity, right? 91, 92, 93, which even though it's only 2-3 miles per hour more than like the 88, 89, the way he throws with his arm angle, that looks a lot faster to hitters, right? So knowing that he's able to keep that maintained velocity at 91, 92, 93 and keep that ball elevated in the strike zone really makes for difficult at-bats for the opposing hitters. On top of that, against right-handers, for instance, he's not leaving that sweeper up in the zone, right? He's able to bring it down into right-handed hitters, keeping it away from left-handed hitters. And I think that's leading to success for him. But I mean, dude, you mentioned it. You nailed it, right? The Mets lost 2 of 3 against Seattle, and that's I think we spoke on the ninth. Yeah, we spoke on the 8th, but then they go to San Diego, take 2 of 3. They come home, lose 2 of 3 to St. Louis, who St. Louis is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But then they take 2 of 3 from Atlanta just to go lose 2 of 3 in Cincinnati against a team, like you said, struggling. Dude, their offense is just like ours, just like pitiful, right? And Cincinnati won 12-0, 5-3, and then the Mets were able to take the finale 9-1 before last night's victory. But I think it's, again, just the inconsistency, right? We're still 7 games below 500 even after last night's win, being 34-41. But again, I think that the consistency now that we need to see is, and I think that this is, we're seeing the offense turn around in a Juan Soto, in a Carson Bench, in a Bo Bichette, in a Marcus Semien. Getting Francisco Alvarez back has been big. I would love to see more Torrens behind the dish, Alvarez at DH, stuff along those lines, right? We also heard that both Francisco Lindor and Tyrone Taylor are beginning rehab assignments today. Lindor, we already know he will be back soon. It won't be like a long rehab stint. He'll be back soon. He's been playing in sim games, and
Mhm.
that's an easy pivot, right? You have Zach Short that has since been reacquired by the Mets. He'll obviously be DFA'd when the time comes for Lindor. Don't ask me where Tyrone Taylor fits into this because I can't tell you. Um, but I think it's about the consistency at this point, right? And I think that trickles into, hey, we're getting better and healthier within the lineup. It's
Mhm.
really about the rotation at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because we know the bullpen is electric, up and down. The bullpen has been tremendous. We know that the offense is starting to hit, whether it's with runners in scoring position, this, that, and the third. Yeah, they've had their hiccups, but again, the offense is looking a little bit more stable. It's about the rotation. And I think what epitomizes that is what we saw in Cincinnati, right? And what we're going to see upcoming. It's like you look at the upcoming probables against, the 2 more in Philadelphia and then the 4 against Chicago, and you're seeing in the finale against Philadelphia, you're seeing Tobias Myers slash bullpen game, right? And we spoke about this last episode about the fact that the bullpen games can only go on for so long just because
Mhm.
typically the piggyback, whether it's been David Peterson or even Sean Manaea before this nice little stretch, they've struggled. But we saw Tobias Myers face the Reds in the opening game of the series. Obviously, the Mets lost 12-0. Tobias Myers has since been called back up to the bigs. He went 1 1/3, gave up 4 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 walks. First off, that fastball, he's leaving it up in the zone. Everything is flat. Okay. Not to say that he won't rebound. We both like his stuff big time. But I think the Mets really need to decide, hey, are we going to send you back to AAA and have you stretch out as an actual starting pitcher given our needs? Or are you going to remain in the bullpen just as a swingman? Because I don't think there can be an in between, right? You can't have another starter that's going to come in and struggle through 5, 6 innings.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, bullpen games, they are just, you just can't have it at this point.
No, I agree. I mean, everybody's saying, yeah, they want the team to be competitive, but like throwing these bullpen games is literally throwing the game before they start.
Yep.
And it's just taxing our bullpen. And I mean, at this point, you might as well just have Jonah Tong try and figure his shit out up in the big leagues. And I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's hard
Yeah.
for me to envision that this team really turns it around. It's hard for me to envision that.
I see. I agree with you, right? It is really difficult to see them turning it around, especially being now June 19th, where almost we're almost a month away from the trade deadline, right? But again, you have Shaw and I in the rotation right now, right? So you have Shaw and I, Nolan McLean, Freddie Peralta. Where do you go with those other 2 spots, right? And it wasn't just the opener. against Cincinnati, where you saw Tobias Myers really, really struggle. At the back end of that game, David Peterson came in to eat the last 3 innings of the game. He looked like shit as normal, right? So, Peterson doesn't have any more options. He's kind of stuck with the Mets right now, right? Unless they were to just DFA him, which I don't see that happening. But then you look at the second game in the series. Kodai Senga is back. And it's negligent at this point to have him start ball games. He went 4 innings, gave up 2 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. Another game that taxed the bullpen when you were supposed to start the game, not be an opener, start the game.
Yeah.
And in the post game, the big question from reporters, rightfully so, Carlos, what's the plan moving forward for Kodai? Is he going to get another start? Yeah, that's the plan right now. He's going to get another start. Like what?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And you're seeing reports about, which rightfully so. Listen, we know the wild card, like things get crazy and this and that. You're seeing reports that the Mets may hold on to a Freddie Peralta if they're within like 4 games of the wild card, which at that point, like, I don't know, would I? Probably not, but I understand the mindset. But how can you even think about being 4 games out of the
Yeah,
wild card and have Kodai Senga, like trying to be competitive and have Kodai Senga start?
yeah. No, so stupid. They're
It's
delusional if they think like they're gonna make a magical run. I don't think that they don't have the team for it.
they don't. The one thing that I'll say is that given now Bichette is hitting, seeing how Benj and Ewing have evolved, seeing the type of tear that Juan Soto's on, having Alvarez back healthy, I am very interested to see how the offense plays when Francisco Lindor comes back, because I think it's going to pay huge dividends. But the bottom line here is that you cannot have 2 out of 5 games be either openers or be started by a Kodai Senga or something along those lines. It's just not feasible. And I've been banging the drum about this on Twitter since it happened. The Mets cut Frankie Montes, who was making what, a little over 18 million bucks, correct? If Kodai Senga is not willing to accept a minor league assignment, why aren't you cutting him? And as you said, calling up a Jonah Tong or a Zach Thornton or a Jack Wenninger and letting them work out their kinks. Because listen, if we're throwing in the towel on this year, wouldn't we all rather see a young kid go through the peaks and the valleys of figuring their stuff out at the big league level than watching a veteran who we know is just going to implode an inning or two into the game?
Yeah, no. Like it's insane. Like it looks like when they go out there, they're throwing some of these games, and then it's like they come out and they look good against like decent teams, and they try and bring us back in, but that stadium has been half empty for the last month.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, listen, there are positive things going on offensively speaking, as I've said several times already. And seeing how Freddie Peralta has been pretty inconsistent, but he's still giving you what you need out of a starting slot. Nolan McLean bounced back and was incredible in the finale against Cincinnati, which is so good to see. And hopefully he can build off of that, looking like vintage McLean. 7 innings, 3 hits allowed, no runs, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. Well, he did allow a run, but it wasn't earned. It was an error. Mark Vientos, of course. Um, but again, if you're going with Peralta, McLean, Manaea, and you're going to have at least one opening game, dude, why not just have Jonah Tong? And I know that people are like, oh,
Yeah,
Jonah Tong didn't look great. Okay. He got less chances at the big league level than Kodai Senga has thus far this season. And Jonah Tong, we also know what he's doing. He's trying to work on those 2 other pitches outside of just, the fastball changeup so that he can compete as a starter at the big league level and have more than just 2 pitches. So why not have him up in the major leagues and just cut Kodai Senga? And also, like, am I bugging out? Zach Thornton did not look that bad. He
No,
had the
no,
bad,
he should have gone. He should have gotten another shot. That's for sure.
yeah, he had a bad first inning. I think CJ Abrams took him deep and he let up 4 runs, but I think at one point he retired 8 straight. Like, that's the type of thing. And, since we spoke last, there was another very shitty situation for the Mets. Not their rotation didn't need this at all. And unfortunately, it happened. Christian Scott went on the IL, hip impingement, massive blow to the rotation, massive blow. Right. So
He
that's
was
why
he was
now
looking so good.
he was looking great. And that's why, again, now we have that another vacancy in their rotation. But again, even with these vacancies, you cannot afford to have more than one opener. And at the same time, you cannot afford to have Kodai Senga start games. So again, it's either you stretch Tobias Myers out more so that he can be a competitive, at least 5, 6 inning pitcher, or you bring up a Jonah Tong or a Zach Thornton and let them figure out their stuff, whatever's left to figure out at the major league level, or you try a Zach Weninger.
Yeah, I mean, real soon we're gonna see. I guess within the next 2 3 weeks if this team's gonna be a seller. I hope that they are because I don't think that this current roster is built to do that to go long in the playoffs. I think at most you can make a wild card and lose immediately to like the Braves, somebody. I don't know. But I would be looking. Should Brazaban looks so good this year? I would dish him.
I mean, bro, just look at the bullpen. Like the Mets could get so much for their bullpen and not even have to trade a Freddie Peralta if they think that they're still somewhat in it, right?
Yeah.
Like Oscar Brazaban is under contract until he's like 40, right? And he's looking great. Luke Weaver still has not allowed a run. 2 consecutive outings now where he has been 3 up, 3 down, 3 strikeouts each. Luke Weaver's been unreal, right? Brooks Raley, AJ Minter, both looking really good, both very appealing to clubs. So again, we're in this kind of limbo phase where it's like, yeah, sure, the market's not moving, so the Mets aren't going to start the domino effect, especially while their players continue to perform, the guys that
Mhm.
probably may be dealt. But at the same time, it's like we have to be realistic. But unfortunately for me, I'm not necessarily saying I'm like an optimist, but seeing the maturation of this lineup and seeing how good the bullpen has been, it just makes me say, rotationally speaking, they are a decision or two away from maybe becoming more consistent or seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, right? Because we're not going to go out and trade for a starter, but you are also not going to win by taxing your bullpen one once or twice during a course of a 5 game stretch with openers. You are not going to win with the Kodai Senga starting ball games. You're not. You're not.
Never.
And God help me. God help us all. If Kodai Senga starts his next game and implodes, and Carlos Mendoza again says he's going to get another turn in the rotation,
Then that means that they have no actual desire to win.
it means that they have no desire to win, and it means that they're not willing to take on any more dead money, and Senga's contract is holding them hostage, right?
Oh,
Um, but I mean, again, and I know that again, there's nothing given with prospects that you get in return, right? And I think that we'll touch upon this more as we get closer to the deadline. But just looking at the Knicks celebrating, right? The Knicks and Mets very similar, just so many like crappy years and all the ups and downs, and obviously baseball and basketball rosters are built completely different. But like, dude, I'm sorry, I don't want to tear this down, right? And you even see 2024, right? Like the Mets were so close. Queens was electric. Like fans were stoked. Like we were 2 games away from the World Series. And I truthfully think we would have beat the Yankees in the World Series in 2024. And it's like, as I just said previously, I like what I'm seeing from the lineup, even though they're inconsistent. I like what I'm seeing from the lineup. Like it also looks like Mendoza and co are starting to recognize that Mark Vientos really cannot be anything more than a pinch hitter against lefties. Like he can't play the field, and even offensively speaking, he sucks. He did hit a home run the other day, but he tends to do that once every 2 weeks, and then he stays in the lineup or he stays on the roster. But again, there are just so many positives from the lineup and personal performances from the lineup that makes you say, yeah, I mean, if the rotation just gets their shit together and if we get healthier offensively, we can make a run. And I don't think that ideology is so far fetched.
See, that's where I tend to disagree. I feel like it does. I feel like we need not only another pitcher that can give us more than 5 innings, we need another bat that can actually hit the fucking ball. So
Right,
I
right.
mean, like we've been saying, we get Lindor back. Hopefully, he comes back and looks like Lindor, not like what he looked like at the beginning of the year, making errors, costing runs.
Right. Right. I just, and I think that the at least stability of having a Jared Young at first base, even though he's been struggling, you know,
Mhm.
we saw last night, perfect example. The Mets put up Eric Wagaman in a situation against a lefty and Jose Alvarado tie ball game, and he rips a ball to right field for a hit, right? And he kept the train moving, and that allowed Marcus Semien to rip the ball into the gap. If you go with like again, this isn't like screaming championship or playoffs, but if you consistently say, hey, we're done with the Vientos experiment. Over at first base, we like Jared Young and we like Eric Wagman. And
Mhm.
Wagman not even playing every day, right? Like just something along those lines. And I like the consistency that we've been seeing in Mendoza's lineups or Stearns's lineups, whatever you want to call them. I just listen, are we a bat away? Yes. But if Lindor comes in, the impact is immense because then guys like Juan Soto and Bo Bichette, they'll be seeing different pitches. Carson Benj will be seeing different pitches. AJ Ewing will be seeing different pitches,
Mhm.
right? And I think that as long as you creep up further and further and further towards 500, leaping teams in the NL wildcard race, a potential deal could be made, theoretically speaking.
Sure, if they get to 500, but that's what's been difficult. They'll go and win two, three, 4 games, and then they'll lose like six, like over like a 10 game clip. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah, everything cancels itself out.
yeah,
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. But again, you know, again, just the parade yesterday really made me say to myself, shit, man, like we have a guy like Juan Soto who is a generational talent literally
Mhm.
carrying this team on his back. And yes, Bo Bichette has started hitting, and Carson Benj and AJ Ewing have emerged, and we're getting Lindor back. But a generational talent in Juan Soto, he's only 27, but you cannot waste this prime. You cannot waste this prime. It's almost like I'm saying to myself, with a looming lockout in 2027, you got to do whatever it takes to win. And to me, everything falls on the rotation. Yes. Have the Mets struggled with runners in scoring position this year? Yes. Have they waited until June to get potentially the real Bo Bichette and the real Marcus Semien? Yes. But
But everybody knew the rotation was going to be an issue, and everybody decided that just getting Peralta, we didn't get the guy that was advised to us.
well, you want to know what the other thing too was that David Stearns looked at the potential rotation and the pieces and said, well, we don't think David Peterson is going to repeat what he did in the second half last year. So, we're going to roll with David Peterson in a rotation spot. Clay Holmes was looking like Cy Young. We didn't expect him to rip his fibula, right? So all those things combined, that's why I'm saying, like, if we could have a lightning in a bottle with a Jonah Tong or a Zach Thornton or a Jack Wenninger getting an actual opportunity and not just recycling Kodai Senga and a David Peterson and a piggyback and this and that, there might be able to be something. But
Mhm.
you can only have one spot in the rotation where there's an opener. and Kodai Senga cannot be in the rotation. And I think that's where I cut it off.
I agree.
And then you
I
can just
agree.
kind of see it from there. I did want to ask you this though quickly. We're going to make this a quick episode, and the Mets then finish up their 3 game set in Philadelphia with 2 more, then welcome the Cubs in for 4, and then we'll hop on for a longer episode, which will be episode 12. But I did just want to bring this up. Reports have come out. Bo Bichette is going to opt out of his contract. Is he an idiot?
That's just fucking rumblings, I bet.
Yeah.
Unless he really doesn't like it here, they should dish his ass at the deadline too.
Right. But I don't think that there are many teams that can take on a potential of $42 million next year.
Well, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
no, there's not. There
I
is
just,
not.
yeah, I just thought that that was wild. I just thought that
Yeah,
that
it
was
is.
wild.
It is wild.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, we just wanted to make this a quick little nifty episode, get one in, and hopefully the Mets can finish off June on a high note. And again, we'll be back in 6-7 days. Just looking ahead quickly, 2 more in Philadelphia. It'll be no easy task for the Mets. It'll be Freddie Peralta versus Christopher Sanchez, and then it'll be Tobias Myers / bullpen game versus Zach Wheeler. That should be fun to watch.
Jeez.
And then we welcome in the Cubs, who the Cubs have been struggling. So maybe the Mets can, you know, do some damage. I don't know. It'll be Kodai Senga, unfortunately, taking on Edward
Uh,
Cabrera. Yeah, dude, I can't even watch Senga. It's like just ding me when the bullpen is in. I just don't want to watch Kodai. Followed by Nolan McLean and Javier Assad. Then it'll be Sean Manaea versus Ben Brown, and the series will cap off with Freddie Peralta versus Colin Rea. And with that, Maddie, you got anything else for us?
no, I just hope, like you said, hopefully we can end this month on the right track, or else these guys are going to be getting shipped off to new teams,
Yeah, and then I think at that point we'll see the complete youth movement from there.
which is something they probably should have done. But I don't know. In a few weeks, we might be doing a deadline episode.
I know. Hopefully, the better deadline episode.
Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah.
Time will tell. With that, remember to give us a follow on Instagram, YouTube, and X. We are at Cup of Mets. Subscribe to the podcast, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And last but not least, download the SeatGeek app, punch and code Cup of Mets at first purchase to get $20 off. And for Maddie DeSantis, I'm Ian Bosniak. Hang in there, everybody. Let's hope the Mets right the ship. Good night, everybody.
Let's go Mets.